Hi folks, Doc here. It's been a hell of a hard week and I'm beaten out and stressed out and just generally trashed. So I figured I'd cut an easy video this time around. I've done some more little upgrades and things to Fugazi that I think are going to help make it more useful for my purposes, being a rally trail machine. And I figure I'd take this opportunity to show you, so stay tuned and I'll show you what I got. Alright, so I guess in no particular order, I'll start with the forward stuff first. Immediately obvious to you is this 12-volt accessory port here. I kind of figured it would be helpful on the trail and in the boonies to be able to charge various devices that are helpful to survival, most notably the phone. So that was something that I slapped in pretty easily. It's got a fuse in there, and that ought to make life a little simpler. The other thing is this access panel here, and those of you that own these Murrays know that there's two screws that normally hold the panel closed, and then you have to unscrew them completely and then the panel removes. And you know, not only is it a pain in the keister to get in there because you have to unscrew it, but then you might drop a screw or set the panel down or whatever, and I didn't want to leave the panel off. What we have here is a window latch available at any hardware store and meant for home use to latch your window closed. It's a replacement unit, and that was $3 or maybe $4. And a 6-inch piece of piano hinge, which is also pretty cheap and available at any hardware store. I've of course painted them black to match. Those window latches are usually white because windows are usually white. Go figure. Anyways, all I did was cut a 6-inch piece of piano hinge and it's riveted on one side and bolted on the other. And just basically put it where I wanted it, which is right on the bottom line here. And now it's that simple. Easy access, no problem. I'm going to rearrange basically what's under the dash for better accessibility and to make it a little bit tidier. But in the meantime, I thought for the purpose of checking or changing fuses or getting at the starter relay if I need to, it'd be a hell of a lot easier just to flip it open like that. No screwdriver required. Moving around the machine, what we have here is the handbrake handle from a Honda 3813 lawn tractor. In fact, moving over to this Honda here, you can see one in its natural habitat. I robbed the handbrake handle from the parts pile. In fact, I think that might have been Frank's, and the cable from it. And you know, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to see what's going on here because it's under the machine, but you can just see where the cable routes from the handle out under there and to the other side. And what I did is I disconnected the factory linkage. It's actually a big long spring that goes from the brake and clutch pedal to the factory caliper on the transaxle. I just disconnected it and threw that long spring away and instead connected the handbrake. Looking underneath the machine here, you can kind of get an idea of what I did here. I had to weld a bracket to the frame there to use a cable stop, and that was the factory cable stop off the Honda. I just had to basically cut it down and zap it to the frame. And with the factory cable came the factory hardware and the return spring and the adjuster nut and the whole shooting match. And that's just on the original 820 brake arm, and it works like a dream. Not only do I have the factory caliper adjustment available to me, but the cable is adjustable as well. So I've got a good range of adjustment, and it does stop the tractor, you know, as well as the brake pedal did. But the purpose here was not so much just to have a handbrake instead of a foot brake. The purpose here was I wanted, you know, a hill holder handbrake type thing that was not that stupid rod on the dashboard. But ultimately what I'm leaning towards is I'm going to do a brake upgrade on this thing, and it's probably going to be a hydraulic disc brake. But in the meantime, I wanted to separate the service brake from the parking brake and have the foot pedal, you know, disconnected so that when I'm clutching while driving, I'm not smacking the brake. When I go do the brake upgrade, it's very likely going to be on a separate controller, a separate pedal, or a separate something, because I really don't like it being tied into the clutch. So that's why I've got it separated. For now, it is the only brake I have. It, of course, being, you know, the stock brake doesn't do a very good job of stopping the machine at speed, but then again, it's not really going to have to for very long. Alright, so flipping the seat up, you see a couple of things going on here. The first is the vent line for my transaxle, and I've stuck an automotive fuel filter on there just to keep the crap out of the vent line, and zip tied it out of the way. The next thing you see is the 4 seat springs, and 2 of them are stock, which I had to move forward, and of course that, you know, basically reduces the spring rate and makes it too damn bouncy, so I added 2 more. And the reason I had to do that was to make way for this battery box. This battery box is off a Craftsman lawn tractor, early 90s I believe, and it's pretty much what the doctor ordered. If any of you have been paying attention to this build, you'll notice that I didn't have a battery box. I didn't get one with this machine, and I was just about to get a stock box, and this was offered up to me. I'll get back to that in a second. In the meantime, I've got this thing located in such a way that it opens to the back. I had it opening to the front, but the terminal humps were kind of rubbing on the seat springs, and that wasn't working very well. So there's the battery. It's a 300 cold crank amp battery, and that seems to work well for the application. And it's nicely snuggled in its box, and good to go there. So with the lid snapping closed, it's pretty secure. That's not going anywhere. This would probably be a heck of a good time to throw a shout out to my pal Chris. That's City Slicker Builds on YouTube. Chris has sent me some vital parts for this build. Basically donated them, and I thank him wholeheartedly for that. He sent me the battery box. He sent me the fuel tank because my tank was leaking, and I found out that my pinion gear and the steering was missing a tooth, and he sourced one and sent that to me too. So buddy, thanks. I can't thank you enough, man. I really, really appreciate it. You guys might want to go to City Slicker Builds on YouTube and check out his current build. He's building a Tracta-Cooler, which is an all-terrain cooler with suspension and everything. It's kind of cool. Check it out. In the meantime, that pretty much takes care of our little end of April update for some of the things that I've done to this thing. And thanks for tuning in and subscribing to Sprocket's Garage on YouTube. And till next time, take care of yourself.